Greetings and salutations. I'm doing this video kind of on the fly a little bit. Um, had an interesting question with an interaction from the Christian Dark Souls group, posted by Find Familiar, who's a channel you can find on YouTube. Why do you like to create? Um, basically asking the broad question of why, as a content creator, YouTuber, whichever term you wish to use, and I suppose as a GM, why do you like to create? Now, when it comes to YouTube, um, that one's a little kind of hard to explain. I think I've explained in the past that my channel underwent a few different incarnations, so to speak. Started as Papa Rex whenever I started because I became a father for the first time in my life. Then it was Reformed Rex, which I talked mostly about Reformed theology at the time. Didn't get a lot of views. Um, the Stoic Rex, which I talked about philosophy. Again, didn't get a lot of views. The Stoic Reformed Rex, I didn't really upload much under that name. I think I used to post like gun videos and gun safety videos and product reviews and stuff like that, but those again didn't garner much attention. Plus, trying to be a firearms content creator on YouTube is really hard to do. Your stuff doesn't get pushed that much. So I eventually kind of landed like one night talk about um, Basic Fantasy RPG. At the time, I was still uploading video game content because I was still affiliated with the Reformed Gamers, a group that doesn't really exist. Neither does the podcast anymore. Um, so, and at the time, I was kind of distancing myself away from that group due to some inner politics with the admins of that group, despite the fact that Logan said that I could rep. With that done, and I'm not going to get into that drama. I uploaded my first video about Basic Fantasy RPG, basically a homebrew dungeon that I created within the setting of Morgan's Fort, and that kind of kickstarted this. Why do I like to create YouTube content? Pardon me. Um, I hesitate to use the term helicopter. Anyway, I hesitate to use the term content creator. It's mostly I use I just kind of do what I do. Um, what I typically try to do is um, put out videos. Some of it's advice from some people, especially from some people coming for more modern systems into the more old school games. Because my exposure to older rules, Dungeons and Dragons, was through these retro clones, Basic Fantasy, Swords and Wizardry, White Box Fantasy Medieval Adventure Game, etc., etc. Uh, and then I moved on to uh, just talking about mechanics and showing things I create kind of in my free time. Now, why, as a game master, do I like to create? Now, that's a different story. Simply put, I this kind of comes from the fact that like I used to before I was a truck driver, I was a factory mechanic. So, even though we're talking about different kinds of mechanics, I've always liked how tinkering around with stuff and seeing how things work, how parts fit together, and the cogs and gears turn right. So that's kind of the same way, and I like to see how like the inner mechanisms of settings that I create kind of turn. I've done on the fly random sandboxy stuff. I've done a little bit. I've done sandbox, but with like some pre laid out dungeons that I've created. Excuse me. I've done. I've done. Um, shoot. I've tried to do a more story narrative, more narrative focus kind of one shot before, and those not really my wheelhouse. I'm not very good at the more what some people classify as railroad, but you know, railroad is a strong term. So I tip because but yeah, whatever. I'm getting off topic. Anyway, so I'm not good at those, so I stick with the sandboxy stuff. Even with mine is kind of like a mixture of some pre-planned, but mostly sandbox stuff. That way, like I just have an easier time running it. It's a little prep, you know. That's my style. That's why I like it. And that's just kind of what I do. I've always been like I'm a musician. I like creating. Um, it's a nice outlet, and it's cool to come home and like whenever the kids and the wife, like I do the family man thing, and like I could sit down, I could either play a game with them or when they're laying down and they're relaxing, like I could just sit back and do make something for my friends, that kind of thing. Like it's kind of like asking why somebody wants to have fun. You know what I mean? I just find it fun. Um, so I mean, I guess that's about as nebulous as a subject like this is, and as it feels like I've not really said anything. um, it just kind of it just is what it is. It's like I like it because I like it. But curious of what some of y'all's answers would be. So feel free to leave a comment. As always, take care. God bless, and I'll see you on the other side.